Hey everyone, and welcome to first episode of Safe Simple Sound Estate Planning Edition, the podcast dedicated to helping you build a secure financial future. I'm your host Alex, and I am really looking forward to our discussion today. We're tackling a topic that many people find intimidating, but one that is absolutely fundamental to protecting your family and everything you've worked for: estate planning. Today's entire presentation is based on a foundational guide our team here at Safe Simple Sound developed, called Estate Planning Fundamentals: Defining Your Path to a Lasting Legacy. And reading through it, two things really jump out. First, just how critical legacy planning is for successful professionals and business owners, not just the super rich. And second, the truly staggering financial and emotional cost of inaction, which can often erase hundreds of thousands of dollars and create deep family conflicts. It really underscores our core belief in seizing financial control before someone else or the state does it for you. By the end of our time today, you'll have a clear roadmap to move forward with confidence. Get ready for an insightful exploration into protecting your family and building a lasting legacy. Let's jump in. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. When you hear the words estate plan, you immediately picture a billionaire in a movie sitting in a leather chair talking about their mansions and their yachts. That is the number one myth we're going to bust today. Because when most people hear estate planning, they think of the ultra wealthy. But for successful professionals and business owners, it's absolutely critical to reframe that thinking. So let's start there. Let's redefine this. Estate planning is not about how much wealth you have. It's a proactive roadmap you create to protect the people you love and the assets you've worked so hard to build. Think of it less like a dusty legal document and more like a detailed instruction manual for your family, written by you for them to use during a time when they'll need that clarity most. It is the ultimate act of asset protection for those who matter most. So the next logical question is, what exactly makes up your estate? Well, it's probably a lot more than you think. It's not just the equity in your home. It's your investment portfolio, your retirement accounts like your 401 and IRAs, any life insurance policies you have. And for many of our listeners who are entrepreneurs or executives, a huge piece of this puzzle is your business interests. And in today's world, it even includes your digital assets, your online business, your client lists, even your personal social media accounts. All of that is part of your estate. Have you ever actually sat down and listed it all out in one place? Once you have a sense of the what, the why becomes crystal clear. A really solid plan has four primary goals. First is strategic asset distribution. This is the classic who gets what, but it's also the how and when. For example, you wouldn't just hand a teenager the keys to a high-performance sports car without any training. Similarly, through tools like wills and trusts, you can structure your plan to make sure your loved ones are prepared for and protected by their inheritance. Second is tax minimization. This is crucial. You've worked hard and paid taxes your entire life. The goal here is to use smart legal strategies to ensure your family gets the maximum value from your estate, not the government. We want to be efficient and minimize that estate tax bite where we can. Third, and for most of us, this is the heart of it, is family protection. Beyond distributing assets, what does it truly mean to protect your family? It means creating a plan that prevents confusion and conflict when emotions are already running high. It's naming a guardian to care for your minor children. It's ensuring your spouse or dependents are financially secure. Ultimately, it's about preserving relationships, not just wealth. And the fourth primary goal is one that is so often overlooked: incapacity planning. What happens if you have an accident or illness and can't make decisions for yourself? A plan legally designates who manages your finances and makes healthcare choices on your behalf. Without that, your family could face a stressful public and expensive court process just to get the authority to pay your mortgage. That's a loss of control no one wants. Now, those four goals are the foundation, but for many, the vision is even bigger. This is where we shift from basic estate planning to true legacy planning. This includes secondary goals like business succession planning. How does the company you poured your life into continue to thrive and take care of your employees after you're gone? It can also include charitable giving, allowing you to support a cause you're passionate about and create a philanthropic legacy that lives on for generations. So, to recap, estate planning is for anyone who has people they love and assets they want to protect. Your estate is everything you own, from real estate to your business to your digital life. And a great plan is designed to distribute those assets wisely, minimize taxes, protect your family, plan for incapacity, and ultimately build a lasting legacy that reflects your values. And that brings me to your call to action for this segment. It's simple, I promise. Sometime this week, take just 5 minutes. Open a new note on your phone or grab a piece of paper. Start a basic inventory of your assets. Don't worry about exact values right now. Just list the big categories: home, investments, retirement accounts, business interests, life insurance. You might be surprised by the full scope of your estate. It's the first, most powerful step toward taking control. Taking that first step is so important because the alternative, doing nothing, can be incredibly costly. We talked about how estate planning is not just for the ultra wealthy, but it's really about creating a proactive roadmap for anyone who wants to protect their family and ensure their wishes are honored. We covered the what and the why. Now we're going to flip the script. We're going to talk about the alternative, the default option. We're going to unpack the very real risks of not having an estate plan. Because here's the thing: doing nothing isn't a neutral choice. It's an active decision to let someone else, usually the state government, make all the decisions for you. And that decision comes with a steep price. When you don't have a plan, you're essentially exposed to 3 major categories of risk. First, there's the financial risk. This is the one people think of most often. We're talking about significant legal fees, court costs, and potential estate tax issues that could have been minimized. It's your hard-earned assets getting eaten away by unnecessary expenses. Second, and maybe even more important, is the family risk. This is the human cost. When your wishes aren't clear, you create a vacuum of uncertainty. And in that vacuum, you get confusion, disagreements, and sadly, often conflict between the people you love the most, all during a time of grief. And third, there's the control risk. This is about who's in the driver's seat. Without a plan, you're handing the keys over to state laws and the court system. They will decide who gets what, who runs your business, and even who gets to make medical decisions for you if you're unable. This is where proactive incapacity planning becomes so critical. Let's zero in on a word that should send a shiver down the spine of any financially savvy person: probate. So, what is probate? It's the formal court process for validating a will or for settling an estate when there is no will. Think of it as a mandatory public audit of your entire financial life, conducted by the court system on a very slow timeline. This process is the exact opposite of what most people want. It's costly, with attorney and court fees easily running into the tens of thousands of dollars. It's time-consuming, often taking a year or even several years to resolve. And it's public. Your family's assets, debts, and who gets what becomes a public record for anyone to see. Proper legacy planning is often about avoiding probate as much as possible, keeping your family's affairs private and efficient. And that brings me to a really important question I want you to think about. We often focus on the financial costs like probate fees, but what are the hidden emotional costs to a family that is left without clear instructions during a time of grief? Imagine your loved ones, already devastated, now having to argue over your favorite watch or second guess what you would have wanted for the family business. It's an immense burden. That lack of clarity can cause relationship damage that literally lasts for generations, far outstripping the financial cost. Let me give you an example to quantify this. Let's call him John. John was a 45-year-old business owner, great guy, loved his family, but he was always too busy for estate planning. He tragically passed away unexpectedly. Here's what happened next. Because he had no plan, his entire estate, his $2 million business, his home, his investments, was thrown into the probate process for 18 long months. The legal and court fees ended up costing his family over $150,000. Because of the uncertainty and lack of clear business succession planning, the value of his business dropped by 40% before his family could gain control. All told, his children's inheritance was reduced by $950,000. Now, what if he'd had a simple plan in place? A trust, for example. The assets could have transferred in about 30 days. The legal costs would have been under $25,000. The business would have continued smoothly, preserving its full value. The financial difference was about $925,000. But the immeasurable difference was the stress, the public exposure, and the family conflict that was completely avoided. That's the power of wealth preservation through planning. And this really gets to the heart of the control issue. When you think about John's story and you consider the risks of losing control to state laws or a court-appointed guardian, how does proactive incapacity planning shift the power back into your hands? It's everything. It means you decide who makes your medical decisions. You decide who pays your bills if you can't. You don't leave it to a judge who doesn't know you or your family. So, to wrap up this segment, the key takeaway is that inaction is an active choice with severe consequences. The risks are financial, they are emotional, and they represent a total loss of control over the future you've worked so hard to build. And that brings us to your call to action for this segment. It's simple, but it's profound. I want you to have a conversation. Discuss with your spouse or a trusted family member what would happen if you were suddenly unable to make decisions. Identify the one biggest gap in your current plan. Just starting that conversation is the most important first step you can take. Once you've identified that gap, you're probably going to be thinking, okay, now what? What's the framework for actually fixing this and building a plan that works? Now, we're moving from defense to offense. We're shifting from a mindset of avoiding problems to one of proactively building the future you want for your loved ones. So, how do we do that? How do we take this massive, intimidating topic of legacy planning and turn it into something manageable, something that feels empowering instead of daunting? We do it with a framework. And today, I want to introduce you to one I call the secured method. Think of it like a blueprint. You wouldn't build a house without a plan, right? The secured method is a simple, memorable, 7-part framework that gives you the structure to build a powerful financial house for your family, one that will stand for generations. It transforms estate planning from a legal task into an intentional act of defining your legacy. Let's break it down, letter by letter. First up, we have S for seize control and E for embrace cash flow. Seizing control is the foundational mindset shift. It means you are the one in the driver's seat. You decide who gets what, when, and how. If you don't seize control, the state has a generic, one-size-fits-all plan for you. And trust me, it probably doesn't match your wishes. This is about consciously drawing the roadmap for your family so they aren't left guessing during a difficult time. Then there's embracing cash flow. This is one of the most practical and overlooked parts of a plan. Your estate might be worth millions on paper, but if all that value is tied up in a business or real estate, how will your family pay for taxes, legal fees, or even just daily expenses? Without liquidity, your loved ones might be forced to sell precious assets quickly, often at a huge discount. Embracing cash flow means planning for the availability of funds to ensure your estate is settled smoothly and your family is taken care of from day one. It's a critical part of avoiding probate pitfalls. Next in our framework are C for create a safety net and U for understand financial choices. Creating a safety net is where the heart of planning really comes in. This is all about asset protection for the people you love most. It's where you answer critical questions like, who will take care of my kids? This is where you formalize guardianship for children. How do I make sure my spouse is secure? How do I provide for a dependent with special needs without jeopardizing their other benefits? This isn't just about money. It's about building a fortress of security and care around your family. And to build that fortress, you need to understand your financial choices. Look, you don't need to become an expert on wills and trusts, but you do need to be an informed consumer. You need to understand the basic difference between these tools and why you might choose one over the other. It's like buying a car. You don't need to know how to build the engine. Wow, but you should know the difference between a sedan and an SUV to make sure you get the one that fits your family's needs. This knowledge empowers you to work effectively with professionals and make confident decisions. That brings us to the final long-term vision part of the framework. R for reap compound growth, E for embrace flexibility, and D for develop a lasting legacy. Reaping compound growth is about shifting from simple asset distribution to true wealth preservation. A well-structured plan can allow the assets you leave behind to continue growing for your children and even your grandchildren, protected from taxes and creditors. It's the difference between give your kids a fish and teaching them how to fish. You're setting them up for long-term success. Then we have E for embrace flexibility. And I want to pause on this one because it's absolutely critical. Your life is not static, so why would your estate plan be? Think about it. You get married, have another child, start a business, someone gets divorced. Your plan must be a living document, not a set it and forget it piece of paper you file away and never look at again. An outdated plan can be just as dangerous as no plan at all. Think of it like a GPS for your life. When you take a different turn, it needs to recalculate the route. Regular reviews are your way of making sure your plan is still headed toward the right destination. And finally, my favorite part, D for develop a lasting legacy. This is where we move beyond the valuables to the values. Your legacy is more than the money in your bank account. It's the lessons you taught, the work ethic you modeled, the charitable causes you supported. A great estate plan can and should reflect this. It can include letters to your children, a mission statement for your family, or a structure for philanthropic giving. This is how you ensure your influence and your values endure long after you're gone. So there you have it. Seize control, embrace cash flow, create a safety net, understand choices, reap growth, embrace flexibility, and develop a legacy. The secured method. It's a complete framework that takes you from the immediate and practical all the way to the visionary and profound. And that brings me to your call to action for this segment. I want you to take what we've discussed today and make it personal. Review those 7 points of the secured method one more time. Which one jumps out at you? Which one feels the most urgent for your life right now? Is it creating a safety net because you have young kids? Is it embracing flexibility because your last plan is from 10 years and 2 jobs ago? Identify that one priority. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and write down why it's your top priority. Getting that clarity is the first, most powerful step you can take. And once you have that clarity, you'll be ready for our next segment. I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, Alex, a map is great, but where do I take the very first step? The sheer amount of information can be paralyzing. And that is exactly what we're tackling today. We're going to get our hands dirty, build some momentum, and make real progress starting today. So let's start with the most important principle of all. And if you only remember one thing from today, make it this. The best estate plan is the one you actually have. So many smart, successful people, the very people listening to this podcast, get stuck in what we call analysis paralysis. You spend so much time researching the perfect strategy, the perfect trust, the perfect tax loophole, that you end up doing nothing. It's like wanting to get in shape and spending 6 months reading reviews of running shoes instead of just going for a walk. The goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. Overcoming that inertia is the first and most critical win in your legacy planning. So how do we do it? How do we break that paralysis? We start with a simple, manageable checklist. This isn't the whole project, it's just the first few steps to get the ball rolling. First, inventory your assets. This sounds intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Just open a notebook or a spreadsheet and start a list. The house, your 401, the investment account, that life insurance policy you got through work, your car. Don't worry about perfect, up-to-the-minute values. Just get the big pieces down on paper. This is the first step in true asset protection. You can't protect what you don't know you have. Second, identify your goals. This is the why behind it all. Forget the legal jargon for a minute and just ask yourself, what do I want to happen? Who do I want to take care of? What worries me? Is it providing for my kids? Is it making sure my business continues to thrive? Is it leaving something for a charity I love? Writing this down transforms estate planning from a financial task into an act of love. And third, gather any existing documents. Go on a little treasure hunt in your file cabinet or that box in the attic. Do you have an old will from when you first got married? Any documents for existing wills and trusts? Pull them out. We need to know our starting point. Now, I know what you're thinking. That checklist still feels like, well, a list of things to do later. So I want to give you one specific, high impact piece of homework for this segment. This is that small, manageable step that builds incredible momentum. Here it is. Review and update the beneficiary designations on your retirement and life insurance accounts. Why is this so critical? Because these designations, the person you named on your 401, your IRA, your life insurance, often operate outside of your will. They can completely bypass it. You could have the most beautifully crafted will in the world, but if your ex spouse is still listed as the beneficiary on your $1 million life insurance policy, guess who gets the check? This is one of the most common and heartbreaking mistakes we see. Correcting it is one of the fastest ways of avoiding probate for those assets and ensuring the money goes exactly where you intend. Finally, as you start this process, you need to think about who is going to help you carry out these wishes. It's time to start assembling your team. This isn't just about picking someone who is good with numbers. When you're choosing an executor, the person who acts as the project manager for your estate, or a trustee to manage assets over the long term, or a guardian for your children, you're making one of the most important decisions of all. So when considering who would be on your team, what are the most important qualities you're looking for? Of course, you need someone who is responsible and organized. But more than that, you need someone with unwavering integrity. Someone who can communicate with compassion during a difficult time. Someone who is resilient enough to handle the pressure. And especially for guardianship for children, you need someone whose values align with yours, who you trust to raise your kids with the same love and principles you would. This is the human side of incapacity planning and legacy planning. It's all about trust. So let's bring it all together. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your first step is to simply start. Defeat that inertia. Use the simple checklist, inventory, goals, documents to get oriented and start thinking about the reliable, trustworthy people who will form your team. And now for your call to action. Not this week, not tomorrow, right now. As soon as this segment is over, I want you to do one thing. Pick one account. Your 401, your IRA, your life insurance policy. Log in online, it will take you 2 minutes. Find the beneficiary designation and look at the name listed there. Is that still the right person? Does it reflect your life today? If it is, great. If it's not, you've just uncovered a critical issue that you can now fix. You've just taken your first powerful step. And that brings us to the end of our foundational discussion on estate planning. We covered a lot of ground today, but I hope you're walking away feeling empowered, not overwhelmed. We started by reframing this entire topic, moving beyond just wills and trusts to see it as true legacy planning. We then confronted the very real financial and family risks of inaction, looking at just how critical a plan is for avoiding probate and protecting your loved ones from conflict. And of course, we walked through the secured method, our 7-part framework designed to give you control over everything from incapacity planning to long-term wealth preservation. For me, the most powerful takeaway is that this isn't just a legal task. It's a profound act of love and responsibility. Whether you're focused on basic asset protection or sophisticated business succession planning, taking these steps is how you ensure the people and causes you care about are secure. So here's your final call to action. Please do that one piece of homework we assigned. Log into a retirement account or life insurance policy and check your beneficiary designation. It's a small step that builds incredible momentum. Thank you so much for joining me and being part of the Safe, Simple, Sound community. Until next time, remember that building a secure future starts with the choices you make today. Stay informed, stay empowered, and keep building a future that's safe, simple, and sound. This is Alex, signing off.